All right, a lot of conversation about the border taking place these days, and I know I don't have to tell you that our country has seen record numbers of border crossings, illegal crossings, under the current administration's watch. And we here at FRC are trying to do all we can to help put some weight and some leverage behind stopping all of that. The damage that this has created for our country, from crime to drugs to human trafficking, you name it, is just it's indescribable. And so we have a petition, and there is still time for you to come on board and sign on to this petition with us. And I encourage you to come on board and do so. We're going to be delivering this to House leadership, urging them to do everything they can, use every leverage they have to help secure our borders. So sign the petition. A couple of options there for you. You can go to frcaction.org/border, frcaction.org/border, or you can simply text the word border to 67742. And in advance, thank you for helping us with that. And speaking of the border, President Biden and former President Trump gave dueling speeches at the southern border yesterday. And trust me, the fact that they were both at the border was the only thing that these two had in common. While President Trump outlined a return to the policies that actually secured the border during his time in office, President Biden simply sought to shift the blame for our current border crisis to Republicans who oppose his amnesty bill and his catch and release policy. Well, joining me now to break all of this down between the speeches of the two is Washington Stand news reporter and editor Ben Johnson, who has actually written a piece in the Washington Stand on this very topic. Ben, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to have you.
Good to be with you, Congressman.
All right, so quite a different approach between President Biden and former President Trump. Thank you for writing this tremendous article, by the way. I've read it, and it's very insightful. So what policy differences jumped out at you between the two?
Well, the contrast is between policies that have already worked and policies that never will. One of the best and most specific lists came from Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who spoke with President Trump. He named 4 specific policies that would secure the border tomorrow if they were reenacted. One of them is to end catch and release, to reinstate the Remain in Mexico and Title 42 policies, which allow for the rapid removal of illegal immigrants from U.S. soil, and to build the wall. Biden, in his remarks, essentially offered amnesty, just as presidents did in previous record-breaking years of illegal immigration in 1986 and 2001. By the way, I thought one of the most illustrative remarks came from one of the other surrogates there, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who said, and I quote, "We have listened to our workforce and are removing and returning historic numbers of migrants." Now, the president of the Border Patrol Union, Brandon Judd, spoke with Donald Trump, and he specifically criticized Biden's policies. And it's true that Biden is removing historic numbers of illegal migrants, but not in the way that Mayorkas might have implied. The House Judiciary Committee put out a report just last October saying in the first 2 years of the Biden administration, Biden released 2.15 million illegal immigrants on U.S. streets. He's deported less than 6,000 of them. That's 0.28%, effectively as a 0% deportation rate. Joe Biden makes Barack Obama look like Pat Buchanan.
Well, it's incredible. I'd like to actually play a couple of clips and get your reactions to this. Let's begin with clip 4, please.
3 years ago, we had the most secure border in history. Brandon was saying it. The general was saying it. We had the most secure border, and people weren't coming because they knew they weren't going to get in. And we weren't promising free education, free medical, free everything. I mean, all the promises that are made, no wonder they come.
All right, and now let's go on to clip number 2, and then I want to get your reaction to this, Ben.
Folks, on my first day as president, I introduced a bill I sent to Congress, a comprehensive plan to fix the broken immigration system and to secure the border. But no action was taken. Then months ago, my team began a serious negotiation in a bipartisan group of senators.
All right, your reaction between those two is very similar to what you were just saying.
Well, it truly is. You know, when Biden was running for the nomination, of course, he was trying to outflank people like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. So he was promising free health care to anyone who could come here. At one point, he said he was hoping that illegal migrants would, quote, surge to the border so they could apply for asylum. On the other hand, you had Biden here saying that he has offered two bills, basically, that could have encapsulated his entire speech. The bill that he proposed, by the way, on his first day in office was the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, introduced by our good friend in the Senate, Golden Bob Menendez. It would have been the largest amnesty bill in U.S. history, put nearly all illegal immigrants on a path to U.S. citizenship, also expanded foreign aid to Latin America, and expanded the visa lottery system. The American people have consistently said they do not want another amnesty program. They've said that for 2 decades. Of course, the other bill that he's talking about is the Ukraine aid bill, which would have codified catch and release rather than removed it, and let 1.8 million illegal immigrants a year enter the U.S. before closing any part of the border. And even that could be overridden by our friend Alejandro Mayorkas, who's facing impeachment for nonfeasance. Biden's angry that Congress didn't enact 2 bad bills. That's not a bug. That's a feature.
Well, you know, it's just stunning to me, and I wish we had more time to go into this, but President Trump also talked about, since Biden has been here, 33,000 assaults from illegal immigrants, 3,000 robberies, 6,900 burglaries, 7,500 weapon crimes, on and on and on and on. Do you believe, Ben Johnson, that President Biden literally thinks that he can just shift the blame and that the media and the American public will buy it?
I think that that's exactly what he's trying to do on his entire administration. Donald Trump has already secured the border. Joe Biden never can. The American voters now rank immigration as their #1 policy, and Trump has a 30-point lead on this. So that's why Biden is having to address this. But essentially, he's taking a page out of Harry Truman's book, running against a quote-unquote do-nothing Congress. The media tried to ignore the border. Now they're trying to sell it, just like they tried to ignore inflation. Then they tried to sell that as a good thing. The American people cannot trust the legacy media. They can trust Washington Watch and Washington Stand.
Ben Johnson from Washington Watch, thank you so much. Great job.